March 15, 2019, Phoenix, Arizona.
The 911 call came in at 11:47 p.m. A frantic woman's voice. Her 16-year-old
daughter hadn't come home from school. Emily Martinez was missing. The initial response was routine. Teenage runaways were common. She'd probably gone to a friend's house.
She'd turn up by morning, but Emily Martinez never came home.
What started as a missing
person case would unravel into something far more sinister. Web of lies, abuse,
and a murder plot that shocked the entire state of Arizona. And at the center of it all was the one person who should have protected
Emily the most, her own mother.
Emily Martinez was a sophomore at Desert Ridge High School in Phoenix. She was 16 years old, quiet, studious, and kept mostly to herself. She had long dark hair, brown eyes,
and always wore the same silver bracelet her
grandmother had given her before she passed away. March 15, 2019 was a Friday.
Emily left for school at 7:30 a.m., just like every other day.
Her mother, 38-year-old Sandra Martinez, said goodbye from the kitchen. Sandra's boyfriend, 42-year-old Derek Watson, was still asleep in the bedroom. Emily never made it to school that day. When the school's automated system called Sandra at PM to report Emily's absence,
Sandra didn't seem concerned. She told the attendance clerk that Emily must have been feeling sick and stayed home.
She'd check on her, but Emily wasn't home. At PM, when Emily still hadn't appeared,
Sandra's sister Rosa called asking if Emily wanted to come over for dinner. That's when Sandra realized her daughter was actually missing.
Rosa later told police that Sandra sounded confused, almost disoriented on the phone. Not panicked, not worried, just confused. Sandra waited until 11:47 p.m.
to call 911, nearly 16 hours after Emily had left for school.
When Phoenix police arrived at the Martinez home, a small rental house in a working-class neighborhood,
Sandra told them Emily had probably run away. She said her daughter had been difficult lately.
And acting out, she suggested Emily might be with friends or a secret boyfriend.
The officers took a report and said they'd start looking. Missing teenagers usually came home within 48 hours, but Emily's Aunt Rosa didn't believe it.
She knew Emily. The girl would never run away without telling her.
They were closer than Emily was with her own mother. Rosa went to the police station the next morning and told them something was very wrong. Emily was a straight-A student.
She had never been in trouble. She didn't have a boyfriend. And most importantly, she would never,
ever leave without her grandmother's bracelet.
Check the house again, Rosa begged.
Something happened to her. I know it. Detective Michael Torse was assigned to the case on March 17th, 2 days after Emily's disappearance.
He was a 15-year veteran of the Phoenix PD,
with a specialty in missing persons cases.
He started by interviewing Sandra Martinez at her home. Derek Watson sat beside her during the interview, his hand on her shoulder.
Sandra told Torse that Emily had become rebellious in recent months.
She was skipping classes, talking back, staying out late. Sandra suspected she was seeing an older boy secretly.
Detective Torse asked if he could see Emily's room. Sandra hesitated, then agreed.
Emily's bedroom was small and sparse.
A twin bed, a desk, a small closet. But Torse noticed something immediately. Everything was too neat, too organized.
The bed was perfectly made. The desk had no papers, no homework, no clutter. The closet held clothes arranged by color. It didn't look like a teenager's room.
It looked like a room that had been cleaned thoroughly.
Torse asked Sandra when she'd last been in Emily's room.
Sandra said she'd cleaned it that morning. She'd wanted to keep busy while waiting for news. Torse made a note.
2 days after your daughter goes missing, you deep clean her bedroom. He asked to see Emily's phone records. Sandra said Emily had taken her phone with her. Torse requested the records from the phone company anyway. When the records came back, they showed Emily's phone had been turned off at 7:52 a.m.
on March 15, just 22 minutes after she'd left home.
The last ring from the cell tower placed the phone less than half a mile from the Martinez house. Emily had never made it anywhere near her school. Detective Torse ran background checks on everyone in Emily's life. That's when Derek Watson's history came up. Derek Watson had moved in with Sandra Martinez 8 months earlier. He was unemployed, claiming back pain prevented him from working. Sandra supported them both on her salary as a grocery store cashier.
Derek's criminal record showed disturbing patterns. 2011. Arrested for domestic violence against a former girlfriend.
Charges dropped when the victim refused to testify.
2014. Arrested for assault in a bar fight.
6 months in county jail.
2016. Arrested for possession of methamphetamine, probation. 2017. another domestic violence arrest, another victim who refused to press charges.
Tours also discovered that 2 months before Emily disappeared, a teacher at Desert Ridge High
School had filed a report with Child
Protective Services.
The teacher had noticed bruises on Emily's arms and neck.
When asked about them, Emily said she'd fallen. The teacher didn't believe her. CPS had visited the Martinez home, interviewed Sandra and Emily separately. Emily claimed everything was fine.
The case was closed.
But the teacher's notes included one more detail. Emily had asked if there was a way to make
Someone move out of your house.
if your MO and won't listen. Tours brought Sandra and Derek in for a second interview, this time separately.
Sandra's story remained consistent.
Emily was rebellious.
She'd run away. She'd come back when she was ready. Derek's interview was different.
He was agitated, defensive.
He claimed he barely knew Emily. She was always in her room.
They didn't interact much. Tours asked about the CPS visit. Derek's jaw clenched.
He said that was Emily causing drama because she didn't like him dating her mother.
The bruises were from volleyball practice. Emily had never played volleyball. 3 weeks after Emily's disappearance, with no leads and nobody,
Detective Tours organized a large-scale search of the area around the Martinez home.
volunteers, search dogs, and forensic teams combed through vacant lots.
Desert areas, and drainage canals.
Phoenix was surrounded by vast stretches of empty desert, perfect for hiding a body.
On April 8, 2019,
A search dog alerted near a remote desert area.
about 12 miles from the Martinez house,
Investigators began digging. They found clothes,
a backpack with school books, and a silver bracelet with an inscription, Harami Nayata, Con Amor Abula.
for my granddaughter, with love, grandmother. But there was nobody. Forensic analysis of the clothes revealed bloodstains. DNA testing confirmed it was Emily's blood. The amount of blood suggested severe trauma. Tours obtained a warrant to search the Martinez home again. This time, forensics brought luminol to detect blood evidence. In Emily's bedroom, the walls and carpet glowed blue under UV light.
Someone had tried to clean blood from multiple surfaces.
The pattern suggested violence, blood spatter on the walls, drag marks across the floor. In the garage, forensics found more evidence.
Cleaning supplies purchased on March 16, the day after Emily disappeared. Bleach, ammonia, tops, rubber gloves, and in Derek Watson's truck, hidden under the spare tire, they found a claw hammer. Analysis showed microscopic traces of blood and hair consistent with Emily's DNA.
Tours had enough.
On April 10, 2019,
Arrest warrants were issued for both Sandra Martinez and Derek Watson. Derek Watson was arrested first at a gas station. He didn't resist but refused to speak without a lawyer.
Sandra Martinez was arrested at work.
When officers approached her at the grocery store, she collapsed, sobbing.
She kept repeating, "I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean it."
At the station, Derek remained silent.
His lawyer advised him not to say anything, but Sandra couldn't hold it together. After 6 hours of interrogation,
Watching video of her daughter's bedroom glowing with luminol, seeing photos of Emily's bloody clothes in the desert, Sandra broke.
she told Detective Tours everything. Emily hadn't run away.
Emily was dead, and Derek had killed her, according to Sandra. Emily and Derek had been fighting for months. Emily hated Derek. She wanted him gone.
She'd threatened to tell the police about things she'd seen Derek using drugs.
Derek selling Sandra's belongings for drug money. Derek hitting Sandra. On the morning of March 15th, after Sandra left for work early, Emily and Derek had gotten into a massive argument.
Emily threatened to call the police.
She said she was going to tell everyone what Derek really was.
Derek lost control.
He grabbed a hammer from the garage. He hit Emily multiple times.
Sandra said she didn't know exactly what happened because she wasn't there. Derek had called her at work, panicked, saying there had been an accident. Sandra rushed home. She found Emily on her bedroom floor, barely breathing, blood everywhere. She wanted to call 911, but Derek said they'd both go to prison. He said they had to cover it up. He said if Sandra called the police, he'd tell them Sandra had done it. Terrified and in shock, Sandra helped Derek. They wrapped Emily in tarps.
They cleaned the room. That evening, after dark, they drove Emily's body into the desert and buried her in a shallow grave.
They scattered her clothes and belongings to make it look like she'd been attacked by a stranger if anyone ever found them. Then Sandra waited 16 hours to report her daughter missing.
Detective Tours recorded every word.
When confronted with Sandra's confession, Derek Watson finally spoke.
His version was different.
He claimed Sandra had killed
Emily in a rage after the girl threatened to expose their drug use.
He said he'd only helped dispose of the body because Sandra threatened to frame him.
Either way, Both admitted Emily was dead and they'd buried her in the desert.
Using Sandra's confession, police returned to the desert.
This time, they knew exactly where to dig.
On April 14, 2019, nearly a month after she disappeared, Emily Martinez was found. Her body was in a shallow grave, wrapped in plastic tarps, exactly as Sandra had described.
The autopsy revealed horrific injuries.
Multiple blunt force trauma wounds to the head and upper body. Defensive wounds on her hands and arms. She tried to fight back.
The cause of death was
determined to be a combination of severe head trauma and blood loss.
The medical examiner estimated she had survived for several hours after the initial attack.
If Sandra had called 911 immediately, Emily might have lived.
Emily's aunt Rosa identified her niece's body.
She told reporters through
tears that Emily had been afraid of Derek for
months but was too scared to say anything because she thought her mother wouldn't believe her. She tried to tell people, Rosa said. The teachers saw the bruises. Emily asked for help, but nobody listened.
And now she's gone. The case exploded in the media.
Mother helped boyfriend cover up daughter's murder became national news.
Phoenix was outraged.
How could a mother help hide her own daughter's murder? Why had CPS closed the case after one visit?
Why hadn't the school pushed harder when they saw bruises?
Sandra Martinez's mugshot was everywhere. The photo showed a woman with hollow eyes, tear-streaked face, completely broken. Public opinion was merciless.
She was called a monster.
The worst mother in America.
People sent death threats to the jail. Derek Watson's photo showed a man with cold eyes and a slight smirk. He looked exactly like the monster everyone believed him to be. Both were charged with first-degree murder,
child abuse resulting in death, and tampering with evidence. Emily's story became a rallying cry for child protection advocates. Her face was on billboards across Phoenix with the message, "When children ask for help, listen."
The trial began in September
2019. The prosecution had
overwhelming evidence. The confessions, the forensics, the hammer, the cleaned crime scene, the burial site. Derek Watson's defense tried to argue that
Sandra was the killer and he was merely an accomplice under duress. They painted him as a victim of Sandra's manipulation. Sandra's defense took a different approach. They argued she was a victim of domestic violence, suffering from battered woman syndrome. They claimed Derek had controlled and abused her for months, and she was too terrified to defy him when he said they had to cover up
Emily's death.
Her lawyers said she never wanted
Emily to die. She just made terrible decisions in a moment of terror.
The jury didn't buy either defense.
On October 22, 2019, Derek Watson was convicted of first-degree
murder with special circumstances.
Murder of a minor. The prosecution proved he had struck
Emily with the hammer multiple times and left her to die. Sandra Martinez was convicted of second-degree murder. The jury believed she didn't directly kill Emily, but her failure to call for help when her daughter
might still have been saved
made her criminally responsible for Emily's death. She was also convicted of child abuse,
evidence tampering, and accessory to murder. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Derek Watson received life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sandra Martinez received 40 years to life.
At sentencing, Rosa gave a victim impact statement that left the courtroom in tears. Emily was 16 years old.
She loved reading. She wanted to be a veterinarian. She was kind, smart, and beautiful. She deserved a mother who would protect her.
Instead, she got a mother who chose a monster over her own child.
I will never forgive Sandra.
I will never understand how she could let my niece die like that. Sandra sobbed throughout the statement. When given a chance to speak, she could barely get words out.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I should have saved her. I should have called for help.
I was scared. I know that's not an excuse.
I know I failed her.
I failed my baby.
I'll never forgive myself. The judge's response was harsh.
Ms. Martinez, you had every opportunity to save your daughter's life. You chose instead to save yourself and the man who murdered her. Emily died slowly and painfully, wrapped in plastic,
buried in the desert like garbage.
And you let that happen.
The court finds your remorse too little, too late.
Emily's aunt Rosa filed for and was granted guardianship of Emily's younger brother, 12-year-old Miguel,
who had been staying with relatives during the investigation. Rosa became his legal guardian and mother figure. Miguel testified he'd heard arguing the morning.
Emily disappeared but didn't know what had happened.
He'd been kept in his room. By the time he woke up properly, Sandra was acting like everything was normal. Rosa moved Miguel to a different school district, started him in therapy, and tried to give him a stable home. But the trauma of losing his sister and
having his mother in prison for her murder was devastating.
In 2020, Rosa founded Emily's Voice, a non-profit organization dedicated to improving child protective services protocols and teaching children how to report abuse safely. The organization lobbies for mandatory follow-up visits when abuse is suspected, better training for CPS workers to detect hidden abuse, anonymous reporting systems for minors, harsher penalties for adults who fail to protect children in their care. Arizona passed Emily's law in 2021, requiring at least 3 follow-up visits for any abuse complaint involving minors.
Schools must report suspected abuse directly to police, not just CPS.
Criminal charges for parents who fail to provide medical care to injured children.
Longer sentences for crimes against minors when a parent is complicit. Derek Watson is currently serving his
sentence at Arizona State Prison Complex. He's been placed in protective custody after being attacked by other inmates twice. Child killers are universally hated in prison. Sandra Martinez is incarcerated at Arizona State Prison Complex Perryville, the women's facility.
She reportedly spends most of her time isolated,
unable to cope with the judgment of other inmates. Even in a women's prison, murdering your own child makes you the lowest of the low.
Miguel, now 17, rarely speaks about his mother.
He visits Emily's grave every year on her
birthday with Rosa. He's doing well in school and plans to study social work in college. He says he wants to help kids like Emily who feel trapped and unheard.
Emily Martinez would have been
21 years old in 2024. She
would have graduated high school. Maybe she would have gone to college. Maybe she would have become the veterinarian she dreamed of being. Instead, she's buried in a Phoenix cemetery under a headstone that reads, Emily Rose Martinez, 2002-2019.
Beloved daughter, niece, sister,
your voice will never be silenced.
Every year on March 15th, the anniversary of her disappearance,
Emily's Voice Foundation holds a vigil. Hundreds of people gather with candles to remember
Emily and other children lost to abuse. Rosa speaks at these vigils every year.
Her message is always the same. Emily tried to tell people she was in danger. A teacher saw bruises. CPS visited. Emily asked how to make Derek leave, but the adults around her didn't connect the dots.
They didn't dig deeper. They accepted the easy answers.
And Emily paid with her life. So I'm asking all of you, when a child tells you something is wrong, believe them.
When you see the signs, act.
Don't wait for perfect proof. Don't assume someone else will handle it.
Because Emily's story shows us what
happens when everyone assumes someone else is listening.
Be the adult who listens. Be the adult who acts. Be the adult Emily needed.
The Emily Martinez case remains one of Arizona's most heartbreaking examples of systemic failure by CPS,
failure by schools, failure by family,
and most tragically, failure by the one person who should have protected Emily above all others, her mother.
Emily's story is a painful
reminder that monsters don't always look like strangers. Sometimes they live in your house. Sometimes your mother chooses them over you. And sometimes when children cry for help, the world is too busy to hear them.